Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Boitshepo Gopane, and welcome to Talisman Science and Career Conversations. Before we go on to our show, I want to run some few ads. We do have a campaign going. We are fundraising for a streaming platform, this beautiful platform that we're streaming from. So we want to be able to run some kind of our own customization with our own creatives, and we want to be able to stream in multiple platforms at the same time. So like right now we're only streaming on Facebook, so we want to be able to stream on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter at the same time, so that all our audience in all our platforms are able to get our content. So please do support our initiative. Any amount is acceptable. We are not choosy. Beggars are not choosers. I mean, come on. So we are actually humbly asking you to help us raise funds for the streaming platform. And also, we'll be able to do many nice, beautiful things with the streaming platform. Having said that, I know you are looking forward to personal option. Let me not take much time. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Once more, welcome to Passionate Option, and I'm your host, Boitshepo Gopane. I am here with Ms. Boitshepo Gopane joining us on another show of, session of Passionate Option. She'll be telling us about all the fungi stuff she's been doing in the lab. Boitshepo Gopane, my lady, welcome to the show.
Thank you, and good evening to all the viewers in all the parts of the world.
Yes, I think let's just shoot into it. On the show, we like taking it back to the roots. You tell us who you are, where you come from, and how was your childhood like?
Okay, my name is Boitshepo Gopane. I was born and bred in Mahikeng, and then finally to Northwest University. I'm a family of 6. I've got a twin sister. I've got a sister and a brother. So, who happens to be doing science. So, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Tata.
Okay, having talking of Mantlwane, tell us how was your childhood like, especially with books, your relationship with books, and in school, how, like, what kind of a child were you growing up? And I know teachers like grooming kids. What is it that your teachers were grooming you to be?
Okay, I grew up, I think, as a disciplined child. Till today, I think I'm disciplined because I did sports and also I was focused on my books. So as a child, I grew up till when I get to high school. I met this teacher called Mr. Sepo, who made me fall in love with science. He was teaching me life science. So from that grade 10 to grade 12, I was so curious to know more. What's happening in the academia world? What's happening beyond science that I'm seeing? So that's what made me curious, and definitely to say, you know what, if I can think of it, I want to reach it, and that's what I did.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm now curious to know, did you guys have experiments at school? Did you do experiments?
Not really. We did there and there, public schools, not to say to change them, but we short much of resources. So just a little bit of it. So that's what made me curious to say, what I've been hearing in class, been taught, really, I want to find out more what's happening about this life science. So yeah, that's why.
And you did mention your teacher there who made you fall in love with science.
Yes.
So now I would like to know, Was he the one who introduced you to science, or there is another way in which you got to fall in love with science? And tell us about that moment when you found science and you were like, yay, I want to do this thing. This thing is exciting. And what was it? What was happening?
Okay, he is specifically the person who made me fall in love with science. The way that zeal, the way he taught us in class, having extra classes, pushing us, So he's definitely the one person that made me fall in love, and specifically with life science that led me to do microbiology at university.
Oh, okay. You now mentioned microbiology. I'm sure someone out there is listening and be like, microbiology at varsity. So take us through that. What is microbiology? What does it entail? What do microbiologists do?
Okay, microbiology in a layman, like it's the study of microorganisms, that either unicellular, multicellular, that you cannot see with your naked eye. But like a microscope, so yeah, that is microbiology. And then it has sub-disciplines, like specifically now I'm a mycologist, aspiring mycologist to be specific. So I'm studying fungi. That is the fungi causing diseases and fungi with different relationship. Your fungi like like this mushroom this mold when you talk about the family there, that includes your yeast, your molds, your fungi, your slimes. So those are the things that specifically me, I did study till my masters when I did research. So there are different areas that you can find. As I said, there are sub-disciplines. You can be a microbiologist, a bacteriologist, a parasitologist. There are so many. So depending still, so you go deeper, like me, as a mycologist, there are still different careers within mycology. So just to for a brief background, you can be from a professor to a teacher to a food technologist to a mycologist, as I said, to be a researcher. There are so many, like your immunologist. So those people look at different parts. So still under microbiology, microscope, you're researching, you want to find out more the relationship of those things. So yeah, that's basically that, I think. But
Yes, so we are actually talking things only that can be seen under the microscope. And I must mention one important aspect there. I remember when we were in secondary school, we were asked to do this project where we had to let the bread spoil. So we would
yes.
get the bread mold, and then we would view it under the microscope. So those are the kind of things we're talking about when we mention mycology. Let me just say to the viewers there, please drop us your questions as we go on with the interview. We will get back to your questions at the end of the interview, and do follow the conversation using hashtag #Thalosment passion or option. So please do that. Engage with us. We want to involve you. While people are still thinking of the questions, now, my lady, tell us about your project. And I would like you to tell us about, firstly, maybe telling us about the one you started with on your honors, just maybe a brief touch, and then take us to the one that you did for your masters. I'm so excited for this one. We're talking fungi and antibiotics. I can't wait.
Okay. I did more or less the same thing. Let me go briefly through my master's degree dissertation. What I did, I was basically looking at the cultural endophytic fungi isolated from black seeds. Remember, I can isolate from different. In my honors, I isolated from acacia trees. So now I was isolating from black seeds that are capable of producing broad spectrum against pathogenic resistance pathogens for infectious diseases. That is both for women and for humans and livestock. So let me be like, I guess, summarizer. What I was basically looking at, I was looking at biotechnological applications. I was taking those black seeds, get extracted the secondary metabolites, of which I was doing the bioactive molecules from there. so that I can find an alternative for it. Remember, nano antibiotic resistance. How to go clinicing, or to go doctor antibiotic. Whether yeah, direct or just a broad spectrum, have any specific, whether for mala or for antibiotic, of which one nobody abuses. So what I'm trying to do is an alternative natural solution to antibiotics, or extract from natural resources. Those are plants, so that those secondary metabolites, the bioactive molecules thereof, I can use them to come up with a solution to fight this antibiotic resistance.
So the problem is people are resistant to antibiotics.
Yes.
And it's like that. It means that when you are given antibiotics for a certain condition, it's not working because you have acquired resistance. Now, what
Yes.
you mean is that you come up with a solution to which us as human we can combat this problem of being resistant to antibiotics. So I just had to simplify it there because I'm thinking, hey, there are so many terminologies there, you know. So we do the translation. So
Yeah.
yes, so I'm there thinking we just came up with another big term there, antibiotic resistance. Do you mind maybe touching it? What is actually antibiotic resistance? How does one acquire this antibiotic resistance?
Okay, I'm going to be brief, I think, on that. Antibiotic resistance means basically, as I said, the resistance builds up. Let's say, for instance, you go to the clinic, they don't review. Every time you're thinking, let's say, they give a broad spectrum of penicillin. That penicillin, in a long run, is going to build up more milling. So by the time you drink it, it's not going to be effective because remember, you have to change as we evolve, right? As the environment, climate change. So even if with antibiotics is the same thing. So you have to also they have to evolve. So the problem with the health system is like because most South Africa we are needs or matata health system. So we don't update so much. We don't so that's the problem. So antibiotic resistance is basically from that point of view. Le also the GMOs by the inject that got this antibiotics. So they also build up what we need, also the climate change, the UVs. So that's basically antibiotic resistance. Yeah, in a nutshell.
Oh, that's actually very great. Thank you for that. Now I'm now thinking of why would you look for natural solutions instead of, I mean, I think any chemist can whoop up anything in the lab and come up with a chemical that can be used to solve the problem, which is antibiotic resistance. Why the need for natural alternatives?
Yeah, because remember that synthetic, everything that it's been synthetic, like biotechnical, we exploit these microorganisms to come up with solutions. So most of the time they do have side effects, as I said. They build resistance, they've got so many side effects in the long run. So that is why we're trying to go natural. Remember in the olden days, bogologolo bole, gore batsadi ba rona ba ne ba gola go nna go tlhela banna ba tone because ba ne ba ja sentle dikgomo tseng di sa tlhebe ke di-antibiotic mašwi a na sa tsenngwe this bacteria so that is why you're trying to go natural so that it becomes more healthier than what we could have done now like synthetic. So that is basically the health part about it, so that we become more gore se ka ra lwala, se ka ra nna le side effects. That's basically that. And also use what we have. Remember, the plants that we have in South Africa and in Africa. So yeah.
Yeah, we don't have to synthesize things that we have.
Uh,
Also thinking, you can correct me there, but that's the science in me is telling me that the other advantage would be the fact that it's a natural product, so
yeah.
it's not foreign to the body. It will be easily digestible and breaking down, you see. So that's the sense I'm getting there. So thank you for that, my lady. I love your work, I must say. And when I look at yes, it's very beautiful. When I look at it, I'm now thinking, now we have these antibiotics in the market and we are maybe using them. I mean to say what do you call them, Kane? Your
So what?
antibiotic resistance.
Yes,
Remember
okay.
what we are synthesizing in the lab? Yes. Now we have these products, and then now we want to. I want to know, where do you see this project going in the long run? Because I mean, first of all, I know you don't want to have your project end up in the lab. You would maybe one day want to see your project going into implementation stage, and then from there, looking at the broader picture going forward, especially keeping in mind that things are changing. We have 4IR changing up, all the moving us to digital spaces. So within your sector, where do you see your project going in the long run?
Okay, my project going to, remember, research, it's an ongoing thing. So for me to have a better vision and a better picture is for me to pursue my doctorate of philosophy, of which I want to embark on as soon as next year. So also immediately after finding out about this bioactive compounds isolated from those black cells, obviously I'll talk to the biotechnical companies in South Africa so that we come together and then you patent the project so that we can generate. Remember this fungus like penicillin. Penicillin is derived from Penicillium joycereum, from the fungus that you are using. So this fungi has always been there from since. So that is what I'll basically be doing. Go on. This bioactive compounds. Manufacture them so that we come with better solution. Talk to the pharmaceutical industries so that they engage us, and then we come with better solution of antibiotics. Better versions of antibiotics.
Hmm. Yo, kagala ebile. I'm thinking right now there is a young girl somewhere in South Africa, maybe in the rural areas, and then listening to this, and they like, I want to be like that woman. I want to be like Auswitebo. So I'm thinking, looking at how things are being done, especially currently in our country, what more do you think should be done to introduce those people in the rural areas, those people in areas where there isn't such information available, or there is no one like your teacher that introduced you to science? What more do you think can be done to uh, grab the interest of those people and bring them closer to science?
I think for basically it's outreach when you go to schools as students, as researchers, to tell people about science, to communicate to ordinary people about science in a manner that they can understand. And also mentorship is very important. That's what I found out. I am here today because I think of the exposure of my mentor, who is Prof. Refilo Mafuya, the Northwest University Vice Chancellor for Research and Innovation. So if you can have a mentor and also the outreach and that zeal, I want to do it. If Prof. Refilo, if Prof. Mama Khitin did it, I can also do it. Put that hard work. So I think the outreach programs are very important. And also mentorship. Just mentor a mere student, a high school student, to say, these are careers in science, these are university time in science if you want to do science related subject, and make them have that interest. So, and especially in the digital space that we are moving, so you should use the technology to the advantage. We shouldn't just be on YouTube, Facebook, just doing other things. Should use them to the advantage. Connect with people, scientists all over the world. That's what I do. And email away from my desk. That's what I do. I connect with multiple people. So use it to the utmost advantage. Learn the technologies as you go. 4IR is not here to dispose us or to take work from us. It's us who are doing that. 4IR, it's us who are creating those robots. So they just make our work easier. So if we can just move on with times, be willing to learn. So I think those are the major points for us to bring science closer to people who are very far.
and also try to break it down into simpler terms. You did
Simpler
mention that.
terms, yeah.
I mean, no, we get carried away, especially people, let me just say as scientists, we carried away when we have to speak to the general public, and then we
Yeah.
start bombarding them with these big terminologies. That's why science is so intimidating. So let's
Yeah.
break the barrier and make it easy to digest. So you did actually reflect back on that, which is you telling us how we can actually bring people closer to science. Now, like I was mentioning, that young girl or young boy somewhere in the rural areas, what advice would you give them if they are an aspiring scientist?
As I said, it depends. Inequalities are there in South Africa. They are real. This digital divide, even in the fire, that people who still don't have televisions. So what I'm saying is, try to connect, and also us. I think as scientists, it's us who has to play a big role to go to these people, to reach the community and ordinary people, tell them about our work, what we're doing, and also if always try to connect with people, always try to have that zeal to find out, if the university is just a walk away from where you stay, go to the university, find out more. What are these people doing? What can I do? So it's about curiosity. Be curious to learn always. Always learn from the best. Always be a student. So that is what I think that can bring science closer to the people who have been very far. Have that zeal, have that confidence to say, if that person made it as a black woman, I can also do it. It's doable.
Anything is possible. You just have to
Yeah,
look for it.
just put your mind up to it.
Yes. Having said that, let me ask our IT if we have any questions for you. IT, if you don't have any question, roll a penna. I will see it. Oh yeah, we have a question there. What does it say? Can you see it? What are the
What
opportunities in
opportunities in
microbiology?
microbiology? Yeah, as I said, they are there. The internet is, our everything. Just go there and find out. But as I mentioned, that microbiology is the study. It's a broad, spectrum of study of microorganisms. Under it, we've got subclasses. We've got microbiologists, mycologists. As I said, what I'm doing, I'm studying fungi. The food technologists, the food that you eat, cheese, mashi, biri, those things. So there are so many opportunities, as I said, or you can be a lecturer, you can be a salesperson. The instruments that you are using, also the media that you're using to grow these microorganisms, you can sell them to universities and companies. So there are a lot of opportunities. They roll on. So yeah, I think you can find out more, especially on our find search Google. So yeah.
Oh, thank you for that answer. Do we have another one? Another question? Yeah, look closer.
Are you focused on a group of antibiotics or specific rather than with the previous study gap? No,
And
you
it's
know
okay.
what? As I said, for now, for my study, for my master's, that's what I'm saying. It's a baiting to carry on to my PhD. So I'm not specifically looking at any antibiotic. I was looking at the biotechnological application from what I'm extracting, the secondary metabolites, the bioactive compounds there. To produce those to produce those metabolites, to test them, if they can make a product. Remember, it's a broader picture. So through my PhD studies, obviously I'll be in talk with the pharmaceutical industries. Also, I'll be in talk with other microbiologists in other divisions, so that we come up with a solution. So for now, I'm not focusing in any. It was a broad spectrum that I was using to test my metabolites against. I was using both gram positive and gram negative bacteria. So it was not specific to be.
Yeah, you came up with a big word there, gram positive and gram negative. I see.
Oh,
Let's have another question. I'm thinking. I mean, these words we first met them in undergrad, and when we met these words, they were like the big words, and we were like, okay, what is this gram negative and gram positive? You know, so it's quite interesting to hear the words come to life again. So, Ms. Boitshepo Gopane, those are the two questions we have. We don't have any more questions. I believe that more people will watch the show and listen to it and have more questions. I do encourage you people to, for those who are going to review the show, please drop questions. We will answer your questions as time goes on. It's just that they will be off air. And I must say, thank you for joining us. But before you go, I need to ask you a big question. Was you following science, passion, or option?
Definitely passion. That's what took me. So it was definitely passion. I was curious about it to know more. What is it really that's happening in science? And specifically, I said from life science, that made me to enroll for microbiology. So it was definitely passion. I had that zeal, to see myself, as the next Albert Einstein, people that made our life easier, that came with theories, people that made, internet. So I was like, you know what, if these people made it, I want to just get in there and see really if they made it. I think it's doable. The difference it will be, obviously our situations, but definitely if they made it, I can also do it. So it was definitely passion that made me, fall in love with science.
I don't know where I am. Okay, Miss Boitshepo, going forward, do you mind sharing us your social media handle so that people who want to follow you online can actually join you and ask you questions directly?
Okay. At LinkedIn, I am Boitshepo Gopane. And then Instagram, I am Tebza, TSH_PZA. And then Facebook, I am Boitshepo Gopane, as well as Twitter. So, yeah.
Okay, I don't know what happened to my screen. I don't know if you can see me, but
Yes, I can see you.
oh, okay. Thank you so much for joining us, my lady, and we will go on. We will keep on engaging with the audience on this session, which was very lovely. I must say, thank you so much for joining me. And what do you want to say to our viewers?
I would say where you come from doesn't determine where you want to go. The difference is where you're starting. So keep going, keep pushing, keep believing yourself, keep connecting with people. Always be curious to be a student. Connect with the right people, and the opportunity, and also hard work. Hard work pays. Be a hard work in everything that you do, then opportunities will ultimately follow you. So yeah, keep pushing, keep doing. We come from different backgrounds, especially as blacks and also as women in South Africa. You're facing so many challenges, but if you put your mind up to it, you can always achieve it.
Yeah, that is very profound. Thank you so much for those wise words. I wish someone said that to me back in the days. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us. And that's it. Good night and bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Ciao.